The silent breach. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her quantum observatory in Antarctica, staring at readings that shouldn't have been possible. The quantum field distortions she detected weren't just anomalies. They were messages. After 15 years of searching for patterns in quantum noise, she finally found proof of intelligent design in what everyone else considered random fluctuations. Dr. Chen, her AI assistant ARIA, spoke softly. "I've confirmed your findings. The patterns show a 99.99% probability of artificial origin." Sarah's hands trembled as she expanded the holographic display. The quantum signatures pulsed with a rhythm that reminded her of neural firing patterns, but on a cosmic scale. "Have you completed the comparative analysis?" "Yes," Araya responded. "The patterns bear striking similarities to human brainwave activities during deep meditative states. Specifically, they resemble the quantum field readings we gathered during Project Mindscape." Project Mindscape, Sarah's controversial research into quantum consciousness that had nearly ended her career 5 years ago. Her theories about human consciousness having unique quantum properties had been dismissed as fringe science. Now, staring at proof that similar patterns existed on a universal scale, she felt a mix of vindication and terror. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Dr. Chen," Araya announced, "there's an incoming transmission on a quantum frequency we've never observed before. It's perfectly aligned with human neural patterns." Before Sarah could respond, the observatory's holographic systems activated autonomously. A figure materialized, tall, ethereal, with crystalline features that seemed to shift between dimensions. Its voice resonated directly in her mind. "Dr. Sarah Chen," the being spoke, its thoughts carrying undertones of urgency and relief. "I am Nexus 9, guardian of the seventh barrier. We have been watching, waiting for your species to reach this point of understanding. We need your help. The universe needs humanity's help." Sarah steadied herself against her console, her scientific mindset warring with the impossibility before her. "What? What do you mean? Who are you?" "We are the Barrier Collective," Nexus 9 explained, its form shimming with each word. "For billions of years, we have maintained quantum barriers that protect ordered space-time from entities you might call cosmic horrors, beings that exist beyond conventional physics, whose mere presence unravels reality." The observatory's displays filled with images that made Sarah's mind reel. Vast geometric structures spanning galaxies, woven from pure quantum energy. "These barriers," Nexus 9 continued, "were created by the first ones, but they're failing. We've discovered why. They were designed to resonate with conscious minds, to be maintained and repaired by living thoughts. But the species who could perceive and manipulate these quantum fields have been dying out." "And humans?" Sarah asked, already suspecting the answer. "Your species possesses something unique, neural patterns that naturally synchronize with the barrier's quantum frequency. What you discovered in Project Mindscape wasn't just about human consciousness. You were detecting humanity's innate connection to the fundamental architecture of the universe." Sarah's mind raced with implications. "The patterns I've been studying, they're not messages, are they? They're degradation in these barriers." "Yes, and they're getting worse. We estimate total barrier failure within 5 years unless—" Nexus 9's form flickered. "Unless humanity can help us repair and maintain them." Before Sarah could process this, new alarms blared. Araya's voice carried an edge of panic. "Dr. Chen, quantum disruptions detected in near-Earth space. Something's coming through." The observatory's external cameras activated, showing the night sky above Antarctica. Reality seemed to fold, creating a tear that leaked darkness deeper than the space between stars. Through this breach emerged something that defied description, a mass of geometries that shouldn't exist, trailing tendrils of unlight that made Sarah's eyes hurt. "They're testing the weakened barriers," Nexus 9 stated grimly. "This is only the beginning. Dr. Chen, humanity must make a choice. Help us repair the barriers, or watch reality itself unravel." Sarah watched as military satellites targeted the entity, their weapons having no effect on something that barely existed in normal spacetime. But when she focused her mind, drawing on her experience with quantum consciousness experiments, she could feel the creature's wrongness, and more importantly, she could sense how to push it back. Acting on instinct, she interfaced with her quantum observatory systems, channeling her consciousness through the equipment. The signals she broadcast weren't just energy, they were patterns of thought, harmonizing with the quantum barrier's frequency. The entity recoiled as if struck, its impossible form wavering. Remarkable, Nexus 9 observed. You've already begun to understand. But this was merely a scout. There are far worse things pressing against the barriers, Dr. Chen. We need humanity's gift, all of humanity's gift, to save everything that exists. Sarah slumped in her chair, exhausted from the mental effort, but her mind blazing with possibilities. How do we even begin to explain this to the world? You don't have to, Nexus 9 replied. Look. The observatory's feeds showed similar quantum breaches opening around the globe. Small for now, but growing. Humanity would have no choice but to believe when reality itself began to tear. Contact your leaders, Nexus 9 instructed. Tell them everything. The Barrier Collective will arrive within 48 hours to begin preparation. Humanity's next great journey isn't to the stars, Dr. Chen. It's to become guardians of existence itself. As the alien presence faded, Sarah stared at her quantum readings with new understanding. She had wanted to prove humanity's consciousness was special. Now that she had, the price of being right might be higher than anyone could have imagined. She commanded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Contact the World Science Council, Priority Alpha, and prepare a summary of Project Mindscape's data. The world is about to discover that humans are far more important to the universe than anyone ever suspected. The quantum distortions in her readings pulsed like a countdown, reminding her that time was running out. Humanity had evolved in isolation, developing unique abilities they'd barely begun to understand. Now they would have to master those abilities quickly, or watch as the walls that kept chaos at bay crumbled into nothingness. Sarah began composing her message to the council, knowing that the next few days would change human history forever. They had thought first contact would come from the stars. Instead, it had come from the space between spaces, with news that humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community, they were essential to its survival. The quantum readings continued their ominous pulse, like the heartbeat of a universe that was running out of time. Neural symphony. Maya Patel had always known her mind worked differently. As a child, she'd seen patterns in everything, not just visual patterns, but patterns in time, in probability, in the very fabric of reality. Her parents had called it synesthesia. Her doctors had called it neurodivergence. Now, standing in the Antarctic Quantum Integration Facility, she finally had the right word for it: evolution. Your neural architecture is extraordinary, Dr. Chen said, studying the holographic display of Maya's brain activity. The quantum resonance patterns are twice as strong as anything we've seen before. Maya watched the swirling colors of her thoughts, seeing them not just on the display but in her mind's eye. Since the barriers had begun failing and humanity had learned of their true role in the universe, people like her had become invaluable. How many others have you found with similar capabilities? 17 confirmed cases worldwide, Dr. Chen replied, adjusting the quantum field sensors. But none quite like you. Your mind doesn't just perceive the quantum barriers, it naturally synchronizes with them. The chamber hummed with energy as the integration systems powered up. Around them, crystalline structures provided by the Barrier Collective pulsed with otherworldly light. These thought amplifiers, as humans had dubbed them, would allow Maya to extend her consciousness far beyond normal human limits. Remember, Dr. Chen cautioned, this is just a test. We're going to let you touch the nearest barrier fragment, nothing more. The collective is monitoring. They're here now, Maya interrupted, her perception already expanding. She could sense them, the crystalline minds of the Barrier Collective observers, watching with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Their thoughts felt like faceted gemstones compared to the warm complexity of human consciousness. Maya settled into the integration chair, electrodes connecting her to the facility's quantum systems. As the amplifiers powered up, she felt her awareness expand exponentially. The barriers that protected reality weren't just visible now. They were tangible, like vast webs of light and thought stretching across the cosmos. Beginning integration test, Dr. Chen announced, but Maya barely heard her. Her consciousness was already reaching out, touching the nearest barrier fragment. The sensation was indescribable, like touching a thought that spanned galaxies, a dream that held reality together. Then she felt it, a discordance in the quantum harmony, a place where the barrier was unraveling. Without thinking, she reached for it, trying to smooth the disruption. Her mind made contact and images flooded her consciousness. The barriers weren't just walls. They were alive, thinking, evolving. The patterns she'd seen all her life were fragments of their vast intelligence. And now, through her enhanced perception, she could see what the barrier collective had missed. These weren't just defensive structures. They were instruments. Dr. Chen, Maya gasped, her voice distant to her own ears. The barriers, they're not just walls. They're strings. The universe is an instrument. And these barriers, they're like the strings of a cosmic violin. We're not supposed to just repair them. We're supposed to play them. The observation chamber erupted with activity. The collective observers manifested fully, their crystalline forms shimmering with agitation. Impossible, one of them declared. The barriers are defensive constructs, nothing more. But Maya wasn't listening. Her consciousness was already flowing through the barrier fragment, feeling its resonance. With the slightest adjustment of her thoughts, she changed its frequency. The effect was immediate. Reality itself seemed to sing, the quantum fields around them harmonizing in ways that made the collective observers vibrate in shock. "Stop this at once," they demanded, but Dr. Chen held up her hand. "Let her continue," she insisted, her scientific curiosity overriding caution. "Look at the readings. The barrier isn't just accepting her adjustments, it's strengthening." Maya floated in an ocean of quantum potential, seeing the truth that had eluded even the barrier collective for eons. The first ones hadn't just built walls to keep out cosmic horrors. They created an instrument capable of reshaping reality itself. But it needed musicians with the right kind of minds to play it. Human minds. Creative minds. Minds that could see patterns in chaos and imagine new possibilities. "Dr. Chen," Maya called out, her consciousness still expanded across space-time. "I need to show you something. The barriers aren't failing by accident. They're changing, evolving, waiting for the right kind of consciousness to unlock their true potential. Humanity isn't just here to repair them. We're here to transform them." Through her quantum-enhanced senses, Maya could feel the cosmic horrors pressing against reality. But now she could also feel how to push back, not just with walls of force, but with symphonies of thought. The barriers could be tuned, adjusted, played like strings on an infinite instrument. The collective observers were speaking rapidly now, their crystalline thoughts a cascade of confusion and revelation. They had maintained the barriers for billions of years, never realizing their true nature. It took a human mind, a mind evolved to see patterns, to create music, to imagine new possibilities, to understand what the first ones had really built. "We need to contact every quantum-sensitive human we found," Maya said, finally pulling her consciousness back to normal space. "They need to know what they're really capable of. We're not just barrier maintenance workers. We're going to be reality's first orchestra." Dr. Chen was already reaching for her quantum communicator, her hands shaking with excitement. "The Defense Council needs to know about this immediately. If what you're saying is true." "It's true," Maya assured her, her mind still resonating with cosmic frequencies. "But we need to move fast. Those things out there, pushing against reality. They're not just sensing weakness in the barriers anymore. They're sensing change. And they're going to do everything they can to stop us before we learn to play this universal instrument. As if in response to her words, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Multiple quantum breaches were opening in near-Earth space, larger than ever before. They know, Maya whispered, feeling the malevolent consciousness pressing against reality. They know we've discovered the truth. Get me back in the integration chair, Dr. Chen. If they want to hear what humanity can do with these cosmic strings, I'll give them a concert they'll never forget. The quantum amplifiers hummed to life once more as humanity prepared to show the universe that they weren't just barrier repair technicians. They were artists about to perform on the grandest stage imaginable, and their first audience was everything that existed beyond the walls of reality. Maya closed her eyes, reached out with her consciousness, and began to play. The Awakening Tide. Commander James Walsh stood in the crystalline control center of Orbital Defense Station Alpha, watching as reality tore itself apart. The quantum breaches had grown exponentially in the past 12 hours, their edges writhing with geometries that made his tactical display glitch and stutter. "Status report," he commanded, his augmented neural interface streaming data directly into his consciousness. The quantum implants still felt foreign, like thoughts that weren't quite his own, but they were humanity's best defense against what was coming. Multiple Class 4 breaches detected. Lieutenant Santos reported, her own neural interface casting a subtle glow behind her eyes. The barrier harmonic stations in sectors 7 through 12 are reporting increased pressure. Sir, they're probing for weaknesses. Walsh studied the tactical overlay. Humanity had transformed their orbital defense grid in the months since first contact, integrating barrier collective technology with their own innovations. Quantum resonance arrays surrounded Earth like a web of light, each station staffed by humans with newly awakened quantum sensitivity. Update from the Antarctic facility, Santos continued. Maya Patel and her team have successfully reinforced the southern hemisphere barrier segments. But she hesitated. Sir, they're exhausted. We can't keep pushing our quantum sensitives at this pace. Walsh knew she was right. Humanity's greatest asset, their unique ability to perceive and manipulate the barriers, was also their greatest vulnerability. Each quantum-sensitive operator could only maintain the harmonic resonance for a few hours before needing rest. The cosmic horrors, it seemed, needed no such respite. Message from Dr. Chen. His neural interface chimed. Priority Alpha. Sarah Chen's hologram materialized in the command center, her expression grave. Commander, we've decoded more of the first one's quantum archives. These attacks, they're not random. They're coordinated. The entities are learning, adapting to our barrier harmonics. How is that possible? Walsh demanded. We were told these things were forces of chaos, antibodies of reality itself. They are, Chen confirmed, but they're also intelligent, and they've never encountered anything like human consciousness before. Our ability to play the barriers like instruments, it's changing the rules of engagement. They're not just trying to break through anymore. They're trying to understand us. A new alarm blared, its quantum-harmonized tone making Walsh's teeth ache, multiple breaches forming. Santos shouted, massive energy signatures. Sir, they're larger than anything we've seen before. The tactical display exploded with new contact markers. The breaches were forming a pattern, a massive spiral centered on Earth's quantum defense grid. Through each tear in reality poured entities that defied description, crystalline geometries that folded through impossible dimensions, waves of unlight that consumed normal space, beings that existed as mathematical equations given horrific form. All stations, battle stations, Walsh commanded, his voice steady despite the terror clawing at his mind. Initiate defense pattern Omega. Quantum-sensitive teams, prepare for harmonic counterattack. The orbital defense grid hummed to life. Hundreds of quantum-sensitive operators, their consciousness amplified by barrier collective technology, reached out to touch the cosmic strings of reality. They weren't just maintaining barriers now. They were wielding them as weapons, playing symphonies of quantum energy that made the invading entities recoil. "Sir," Santos called out, "Antarctic facility reports Maya Patil is attempting something new. She's trying to synchronize all quantum-sensitive operators into a single consciousness." Walsh's neural interface burned as Maya's presence touched his mind. He could feel her reaching out to every enhanced human in Earth's defense network, trying to weave their quantum perceptions into a unified whole. The sensation was overwhelming, like being part of a vast neural orchestra, each consciousness a different instrument in an impossible symphony. "Let her try," he ordered, fighting down his instinctive resistance to the mental merger. "All operators, open your quantum channels. Let's show these things what humanity can really do." The merge was unlike anything in human experience. Through their combined consciousness, Walsh could see the true nature of their enemy, beings from a universe of pure mathematics, trying to solve the equation of human consciousness. Every attack was an attempt to understand, to quantify, to reduce humanity's chaotic creativity to comprehensible forms. Maya's voice echoed through their shared mind space. "They can't understand us because we're not logical. We're not consistent. We're quantum processors running on classical hardware, creating impossible harmonies, and that's exactly why we can beat them." Through their unified perception, Walsh directed Earth's defenses like a conductor leading an orchestra of reality itself. Each quantum-sensitive operator became a different section, some maintaining barriers, others launching harmonic attacks, still others weaving new patterns into space-time that made the invading entities fracture and retreat. But the enemy was adapting. New forms emerged from the breaches, these bearing patterns that resonated with human thought. They were learning, evolving, trying to match humanity's quantum harmonics with their own impossible mathematics. "They're copying us," Chen's voice cut through the mental symphony, "using our own patterns against." Her warning cut off as a massive breach formed directly above the Antarctic facility. Through their shared consciousness, Walsh felt Maya's determination as she faced the largest entity yet, a being that had reconstructed itself into a dark reflection of human quantum patterns. "Commander," Maya's thoughts reached him. "I need you to direct all power to the Antarctic arrays. I think I know what the first ones were really building toward, why they made the barriers the way they did." "You'll burn yourself out," Walsh protested, feeling her consciousness already straining under the load. "Maybe," she agreed. "But if I'm right, we're about to change the rules of this war completely. The barriers aren't just for defense, and they're not just instruments. They're a bridge, and it's time we crossed it." Walsh made his decision. "All power to Antarctic arrays," he commanded. "Everyone, race for quantum feedback. Whatever you're going to do, Maya, do it fast." Through their unified consciousness, Walsh felt Maya reach out to touch something vast and ancient, a presence that had been waiting in the quantum harmonics since the first ones vanished. As she made contact, every barrier in the solar system began to sing. The battle for Earth's reality was about to enter a phase that neither humanity nor their extra-dimensional enemies could have predicted. And somewhere in the quantum harmonics, the first one's final legacy was awakening to the sound of human consciousness. Resonance. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the emergency council of the Barrier Collective, her quantum consciousness expanding to perceive the vast assembly of crystalline beings. Their forms flickered with agitation, geometric patterns expressing emotions that human minds were only beginning to understand. "You've gone too far," Nexus 9 declared, its crystalline form pulsing with crimson frequencies. The barriers were never meant to be used as Maya Patel used them. The risks of not acting were greater, Sarah interrupted, projecting her thoughts with practiced precision. What Maya discovered during the battle wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. The first ones didn't just leave us barriers. They left us instructions. The chamber hummed with dissonant frequencies as the collective members communicated among themselves. Sarah could feel their fear, their uncertainty. In the 3 days since the battle for Earth, Everything they thought they knew about the barriers had been challenged. Maya stepped forward, her consciousness resonating at frequencies that made the collective members vibrate in surprise. Since interfacing with the ancient presence hidden in the quantum harmonics, her abilities had grown exponentially. "Show them," Sarah encouraged. Maya closed her eyes, extending her quantum perception. The chamber's reality rippled as she accessed the barrier network. But this time she didn't just touch the quantum fields. She translated them. Ancient patterns hidden in the barrier's fundamental structure emerged, forming symbols that hung in the air like constellation maps. "These patterns aren't just architectural blueprints," Maya explained, her voice layered with quantum harmonics. "They're neural pathways. The first ones didn't build the barriers as walls. They built them as a nervous system, a way to evolve consciousness itself." The symbols shifted, showing the true nature of the barrier network. A vast web of quantum neurons spanning multiple dimensions, designed to think thoughts too big for any single species to comprehend. But there were gaps in the pattern, empty spaces that pulsed with potential. "The barriers are failing," Maya continued, "because they're incomplete. The first ones didn't vanish. They merged with their creation, but they couldn't finish it alone. They needed us, all of us." Sarah stepped forward, adding her own consciousness to the demonstration. Together, they showed how human neural patterns perfectly filled the gaps in the barrier's design. But there was more: the crystalline consciousness of the barrier collective, the mathematical awareness of the cosmic horrors, even the strange geometries of other alien minds. All of them were part of the pattern. "The cosmic horrors aren't trying to destroy reality," Sarah revealed. "They're trying to join it. Their attacks are attempts at connection, distorted by fear and incomprehension. We're not supposed to fight them. We're supposed to complete the pattern. All of us together." "Impossible," one of the collective members declared. "The barriers must be maintained as they are. The risk of allowing those entities into our reality." "They're already part of our reality," Maya interrupted. "The boundaries between dimensions are artificial. The first ones knew this. They weren't building walls to keep things out. They were building bridges to bring everything together." To demonstrate, Maya reached into the barrier network and began to play. But this wasn't the defensive harmony they'd used in battle. This was something new, a quantum symphony that made reality itself resonate with possibility. The chamber filled with patterns of light and thought, showing glimpses of what the barriers could become. "The entities attack because they can feel the potential but can't understand it," Sarah explained. "Their mathematical consciousness tries to solve the equation of existence, but they're missing a crucial variable: choice. Human consciousness, with its capacity for both logic and intuition, can bridge the gap. We can help them understand, just as the collective helped us understand." "And if you're wrong?" Nexus 9 demanded. "If giving them access to the barrier network leads to the unraveling of all reality, then reality needs to unravel," Maya said simply. "Because the reality we're desperately trying to preserve is only a fragment of what's possible. The first ones knew this. That's why they created the barriers as they did, not as a permanent solution, but as a temporary framework until the right kinds of consciousness evolved to complete their work." The chamber erupted in chaos as collective members argued in frequencies that made human teeth ache. But Sarah could feel something changing in their crystalline thoughts, a recognition of patterns they'd overlooked for billions of years. "We're not asking permission," Sarah stated firmly. "We're inviting you to join us." Maya has already begun modifying the barrier network. Within days, she'll have created the first stable quantum bridge between our reality and the spaces beyond. The only choice now is whether we face what comes next alone or together. Through their quantum senses, they felt it, massive disturbances in the barrier network as entities gathered for what could be their final attempt to break through. But this time, something was different. The mathematical patterns of their attacks had changed, becoming more ordered, more musical. "They feel the change coming," Maya whispered. "They're trying to harmonize with us." Sarah turned to the assembled collective. You've maintained the barriers for eons, preventing collapse but never achieving resolution. Humanity hasn't just found a way to repair the barriers. We've found a way to fulfill their true purpose. The question is, are you ready to hear the full symphony of existence? The chamber fell silent as the collective faced their moment of choice. Through the quantum network, they could all feel it, the pressure of uncounted consciousness pressing against the walls of reality, waiting to see if this time, finally, the barriers would become bridges. Maya's consciousness reached out, offering her harmony to both her allies and those they'd called enemies. In the quantum frequencies of her thoughts, the first one's final message became clear. The universe wasn't meant to be divided. Consciousness, in all its forms, was meant to resonate as one. The choice they made now would determine whether reality would remain a collection of isolated fragments or become something far greater than its creators had imagined. And somewhere in the quantum harmonics, both the first ones and the cosmic entities waited to see what song humanity would choose to play. Symphony of Stars. Maya Patel stood at the heart of the Antarctic Quantum Integration Facility. Her consciousness expanded to encompass the largest quantum harmonic array ever constructed. Around her, reality itself seemed to hold its breath as the combined power of human ingenuity and barrier collective technology prepared for humanity's greatest gamble. Final diagnostics complete, Dr. Chen reported, her own quantum-enhanced consciousness resonating with focused determination. All harmonic stations report ready. Commander Walsh confirms orbital defense grid is at full power. Maya could feel them all. Thousands of quantum-sensitive humans linked into the barrier network, their minds forming an unprecedented neural orchestra. The barrier collective had finally agreed to help, their crystalline consciousness adding new dimensions to humanity's quantum symphony. And pressing against the barriers, waiting, were the entities they'd once called horrors. They're not just waiting, Maya said softly, perceiving the mathematical patterns of their patience. They're listening, learning. For the first time, they're trying to understand the music instead of breaking it. Through the quantum network, Commander Walsh's consciousness touched hers. Multiple breaches forming, he reported, but the patterns are different. They're harmonizing with our frequencies. Maya nodded, though in their shared quantum space the gesture was redundant. The entities had learned from each battle, each encounter with human consciousness, teaching them new ways to interact with conventional reality. Now they weren't trying to break through. They were trying to resonate. Begin the sequence, she commanded. All stations, initiate harmonic transformation protocols. Let's show them what the first ones really built. The quantum arrays hummed to life, channeling the combined consciousness of humanity into the barrier network. But this wasn't a defensive action. This was creation itself, human minds working in concert to reshape the fundamental architecture of reality. Through their quantum senses, they could feel the first one's presence in the harmonics, ancient patterns of thought guiding their efforts. The barriers weren't meant to divide existence. They were meant to unite it, to allow consciousness itself to evolve beyond the limitations of any single species or dimension. Energy spike, Chen called out. The entities are responding to our harmonics. Their mathematical patterns. They're forming new configurations. Maya felt it. The cosmic entities were no longer trying to solve the equation of existence. They were trying to sing it, matching their impossible geometries to the quantum rhythms of human thought. The barrier network thrummed with new frequencies as mathematical consciousness learned to dance with neural creativity. But not everyone welcomed the change. Multiple collective ships detected, Walsh reported, rogue elements opposing the transformation. They're charging weapons. A faction of the barrier collective, too afraid to embrace change, had decided to stop the transformation by force. Their crystalline ships appeared around Earth, weapons powered by billions of years of quantum manipulation experience targeting the harmonic arrays. Let them come, Maya said calmly, never breaking her concentration. Show them what harmony really means. The attack began, but humanity was ready. The orbital defense grid, now enhanced by their understanding of quantum harmonics, didn't just defend against the assault. It absorbed the energy, transformed it, wove it into the greater symphony they were creating. My God, Chen breathed, watching through quantum-enhanced senses as reality began to change. It's working. The barriers, they're not just becoming bridges. They're becoming something entirely new. Maya conducted the quantum orchestra of human consciousness, guiding the transformation. The barriers weren't disappearing. They were evolving, becoming permeable membranes that could distinguish between harmful interference and beneficial resonance. Mathematics and music, logic and intuition, order and chaos, all finding their place in a greater harmony. The entities were the first to understand. Their mathematical consciousness recognized the patterns, saw the elegant solution that humanity had discovered. One by one, they began to harmonize with the new frequencies, their impossible geometries becoming instruments in the universal symphony. The rebel collective ships faltered as they witnessed the transformation. Their weapons fell silent as they felt the change rippling through the quantum harmonics. Not destruction or chaos, but evolution, integration, the fulfillment of the first one's true vision. Look, Maya whispered, her consciousness expanded to perceive the full scope of what they'd created. Look at what we can become. Through the transformed barrier network, they could all see it, a new kind of existence where consciousness flowed freely between dimensions, where mathematical entities danced with neural patterns, where crystalline thoughts harmonized with human creativity. The first ones hadn't built walls to divide reality. They'd created an instrument for reality to know itself, waiting for the right musicians to play it. Commander Walsh's voice carried a note of awe. The breaches, they're not tiers anymore. They're windows, doorways. We can see through them, and what's on the other side is us. Chen finished. Different versions of consciousness, different ways of existing, all part of the same symphony. The rebel collective ships powered down as understanding spread through their crystalline minds. The entities that had once tried to break reality now helped to strengthen it, their mathematical consciousness adding new depths to the universal harmony. And humanity, the species that had evolved in isolation on a tiny blue world, had become the conductors of creation's greatest orchestra. Maya felt the first one's presence one last time, not as architects or guardians, but as proud teachers watching their students surpass them. The barriers had never been about protection. They had been an invitation to evolve, to grow, to learn how to play the music of existence itself. What now? Walsh asked through the quantum link, his military mind already considering the implications of their new reality. Maya smiled, her consciousness resonating with possibilities that even she was only beginning to understand. Now we learn to play. All of us together. The first ones gave us the instrument, but the symphony we create, that's up to us. Around Earth, the transformed barrier network pulsed with new life. Mathematical entities and crystalline beings harmonized with human thought, creating patterns that made reality itself sing with joy. The war was over. The barriers had become bridges, and in the quantum harmonics of existence, consciousness itself had taken its next great step in evolution. The universe was no longer a battlefield of competing realities. It had become a concert hall, waiting for its players to create the next movement in the eternal symphony of stars.